What if you and your friends decided to go on a deep website and sing the song from the legend of the Crooked Man? The problem is that somehow the entity decides to chase you and everyone who was in the house at the time of the demon summoning. What would you do in that situation? This is the story of the Crooked Man, a movie released in 2016 directly to TV, so you already know how this is gonna turn out. In today's video, I'm gonna summarize the plot, save you an hour and a half of your life, and show you the best ways to defeat this evil entity. But before that, subscribe to the channel to keep watching videos about B-movie productions like this one, and smash the like button. The movie starts in the early 2000s and 10s when we see a group of girls at a sleepover. The movie wants us to believe they're 12 years old, but I'm not falling for that, because they can't be older than 8. The leader of the gang is Olivia, an innocent girl who hears the legend of the Crooked Man. According to the tale, anyone who visits a deep website and sings the song of this supposed entity will be hunted by it until they die. This story is being told by Jill, the house owner, who says that 2 boys mysteriously passed away after singing the song. For some reason that I'm trying to understand, they all have the same idea, and Jill and the other mean girls pressure Olivia to sing the song. The first thing I would do to win this movie is simply refuse the request. The second thing would be to convince the girls that the legend might actually be real enough. To do this, I would get online and research something about the Crooked Man. That way, they'd know it wasn't just the case of those 2 boys, but rather many others where people mysteriously died after singing the Crooked Man's song. This would convince the girls to change their minds, and the movie would be over in 5 minutes. But screw that, because Olivia doesn't listen to me and accesses the site with the others. She sings the damn song, which, for obvious reasons, I'm not repeating the lyrics. Shortly after doing that, the house's power goes out, and we see Steve, a pizza delivery guy, volunteering to check the breakers. Also in the house are Jill's mom, Grace, and a babysitter named Mia. Remember this detail because it's pretty important to the plot. Anyway, Steve turns the breaker on, bringing the power back. But as he leaves the house, a dark figure emerges from the floor with sharp claws and is wearing sneakers? This is why I'm against TV movies. There's never enough money for the costume department. The girls decide to sleep, but Olivia can't because she's extremely disturbed by the Crooked Man's song. Then she hears a growl from upstairs and wakes Jill and another girl named Alice. What surprises me is that Olivia might be one of the smartest characters in horror movies, since she has the brilliant idea of grabbing a kitchen knife to defend herself, something that people stupidly forget to do in slasher films. Anyway, at this point, I think it would be best to wake everyone in the house, especially the babysitter who could call the police, because the most obvious thing is that a criminal broke into the house. Unfortunately, the 3 girls prefer to check the source of the noise by themselves. Along the way, Alice gets scared and turns back, leaving Jill and Olivia in danger. I don't know what's worse in this scene, the 2 of them fighting over the flashlight and letting it break on the floor, or the fact that the casting director didn't have the decency to find actresses who could show even a little fear. I say this because they both come face to face with the Crooked Man and just stand there with the look of someone who hasn't gone to the bathroom in 3 days. A huge noise is heard by the others in the house, which makes Mia wake up and see Olivia holding the knife on the stairs, while Jill appears, looking completely twisted. Olivia obviously gets blamed for the tragedy, which leads to her being sent to a psychiatric hospital for 6 years. The girl turns 18 and is released, but the town still remembers what happened. Her dad, Matt, says they're going to have to face this together. He also waves to his daughter as she leaves the asylum, even though he's only 3 steps away. But whatever, it's just a TV movie. But it's not just Matt who's been to see her, because a man who looks like an investigator watches Olivia from his car. What is Michael Jai White doing in this movie? When they get home, they see someone spray painted their garage with a message cursing Olivia, which leaves the girl even more disturbed. At night, we see Olivia traumatized by the dark as she buys up all the lamps on Amazon and keeps the lights on while she sleeps. Her dad finds this very strange, but knows you can't argue with crazy people. The next morning, during breakfast, we see Olivia asking Matt for a ride, and the guy asks the dumbest question I've ever heard.
Anywhere in particular?
I don't know, man. I think Olivia is choosing between Narnia or Hogwarts. In the end, she prefers the library because Olivia knows she didn't imagine the Crooked Man the night Jill died. She believes the entity is real and wants to prove it to the town. However, it gets difficult when some people look at her with suspicion, which makes Olivia leave the library. On the way out, she runs into Noah, a cop and the older brother of one of Olivia's friends, who cleverly didn't go to the fateful sleepover. The guy likes feisty girls and tells Olivia she looks great after a stint in the asylum. The cop tells Olivia she can count on him if she needs anything. Another night arrives and Olivia wakes up to a strange noise outside the house. What I think is the dumbest part is that Olivia doesn't grab a flashlight, even though she fears the Crooked Man might appear in the dark. It's the bare minimum she should have in her hands. Screw that, because someone throws a rock through the living room window, along with a note telling Olivia to leave the town. Olivia cries, and her dad comforts her, probably already regretting giving up his bachelor life. Not far from there, we see Steve, the pizza delivery guy, who is now a promising lawyer. Then, the lights in his office start flickering, and out of nowhere, the Crooked Man appears behind him. Since Steve is caught off guard, the entity gets the upper hand and throws the poor ex-delivery guy out the window, where he lands on a car with his bones completely twisted. Olivia finds out about this when she watches the news and learns about Steve's tragic fate. She goes to the funeral to pay her respects, and for some reason all the girls from the sleepover also decide to go there. Olivia tries to make amends with Violet and Charlotte, but they believe she's responsible for Jill's death. Noah, who doesn't like seeing Olivia being mistreated, goes after her and asks if she wants to grab some tequila at the bar. However, Olivia asks him the favor he promised earlier and asks to see Steve's body photos. Noah doesn't get why she wants them, but Olivia says she needs to know what happened. That mysterious guy from the psychiatric hospital overhears the whole conversation. In search of answers, Olivia heads to Jill's house, which is now abandoned. Well, almost, since Grace still lives there and gives Olivia an earful because she believes her daughter was taken by Olivia. Grace tells her to get out of the house if she doesn't want to get shot with a shotgun, which Olivia does. But as she leaves, she has a hallucination where the ground outside lifts up from a mini earthquake. The strangest part is that the ground magically returns to normal in seconds. That night, Olivia gets an email from Noah with photos of Steve's body. When she checks the file, she realizes his body was twisted just like Jill's, which prompts her to call Noah and ask for the file on the case of her friend, who supposedly went to the afterlife. Olivia's goal is to find out if the autopsy found any broken bones in Jill's body, since it wouldn't make sense for her to have been finished off by the knife Olivia was holding that night. Grace also gets a visit from the Crooked Man. She works as a nurse in a hospital. She walks into a room and turns on the light, but when she turns it off, the Crooked Man emerges from the darkness and gets closer to her. At that moment, Grace could have easily escaped if she left the light on, but no, she decides to save energy and turns it off, which allows the villain to materialize and break her neck. Then we see Olivia having a nightmare with the Crooked Man under her bed, and when she wakes up, she notices the power strip has been unplugged. Desperate, she plugs it back in and goes back to sleep, but she doesn't notice that the entity was really there, as sharp claw marks appear on the floor. I think Olivia is making a huge mistake trusting electrical energy. Some occult experts believe that energy from spirits can interfere with electricity, causing light bulbs to burn out or complete short circuits. This means a power failure could shut down the electrical grid and leave Olivia in the dark, so I would have chosen combustion light sources like candles and kerosene lanterns, which burn slowly and would last until morning when sunlight could illuminate the room. The next morning, we see Noah getting scolded by Sheriff Harris, who, to Noah's bad luck, is also his dad. The police chief is blunt and tells him to stop investigating Jill's case, since Olivia is the one to blame for the crime. Harris also tells Noah to have more compassion for Jill's memory, since it could have been his sister in those photos. After all, she was invited to the sleepover. Then we see Olivia going after Charlotte. She tells her that she saw the photos of Steve's body and that it was in the same state as Jill's the night of the party, but Charlotte doesn't believe her and tells her to stay away. This doesn't last long though, because the news at the diner where Charlotte works reveals that Grace was found dead in the hospital the night before. Olivia leaves the diner, and out of nowhere she finds an old coin on the ground, which she interprets as a sign that the Crooked Man is coming soon. Charlotte leaves leaves and says she believes her friend now that two people have recently passed away. They then go after Violet, but this Japanese girl is the biggest skeptic in town and says the Crooked Man legend is just an internet myth to scare people. Olivia doesn't care about that and asks Violet if she's had any hallucinations or seen anything strange in the past week, but Violet denies it. Olivia then tells her to stay in well-lit places, away from the darkness where the Crooked Man lives. The problem is, Violet is lying, and as soon as the girls leave, Violet pulls a coin from her pocket, exactly like the one Olivia found earlier. They could have defeated this movie if they stuck together and researched the Crooked Man folklore to find a way to defeat him. Charlotte and Olivia decide to go after Alice, but the girl's mom kicks the crazy girl off the property, saying her daughter doesn't need to hear nonsense right now. Olivia gives up and leaves. That's when we find out that Alice's mom is played by Dina Meyer, who had an important role on 1990's classic Starship Troopers. She tells her daughter not to worry because she's safe at home. Meanwhile, Olivia makes a list of all the people who were in the house during the sleepover. That's when you can see that Olivia didn't forget to write her own name down. Of course, she wouldn't forget that she's being hunted by a demon. The next day, Charlotte says she knows where Mia, the old babysitter, is. Mia has become a fake Taylor Swift and coincidentally is performing in the town where they live. What's even weirder is that this movie could have been way better if it didn't have totally random scenes, like when the girls get bored waiting in line at the club and just tell the bouncer that their friend is in danger and he lets them in for no reason.
Please, our friend is in danger. Thank you.
Why?
Michael Jai White watches all of this and has to accept the cut in line with his mouth shut. Mia starts the show, but she sees the silhouette of the Crooked Man and decides to stop the performance. Olivia also feels the presence of the spirit and says that evil is coming closer to them. They try to find Mia backstage, but they're stopped by the bouncer, who is apparently a much more competent professional than the one at the bar entrance. Olivia and Charlotte tell the guy they're Mia's friends, but he doesn't fall for it and tells them to get lost. At this point, they could have saved Mia's life if they had just said they saw a guy with a gun entering the backstage. If the bouncer believed that, he might have gone to check and maybe could have protected her, since the Crooked Man doesn't attack his victims if there are other people around. Mia is screwed. She feels the presence of the spirit and quickly grabs pepper spray from her purse. The pop star opens the door and looks down the hallway but doesn't see anyone. She then goes back into the backstage room and locks the door, but the lights go out and she finds herself face to face with the Crooked Man. She could have used the pepper spray since physical attacks work against the entity, but forget that because the idiot drops the spray on the floor.
Oh, no.
She runs for the door, but the Crooked Man's power is so strong that he breaks her hands with his mind. The bone-breaking session continues, and the pop star's head is the last thing to go. When the police find out about this, Noah starts to believe Olivia, who shows him a blog with over 50 stories about the Crooked Man website. She explains that many people visited it and sang the entity's song, only to be mysteriously killed. The problem is that the website was shut down, and Olivia can't track down the person who shared the legend with the others, so Noah asks a tech friend to trace the physical address where the site was created. It doesn't take long for the tech to find out that it was hosted in a warehouse. With the address in hand, Olivia and Charlotte decide to call Violet to come along, but the stubborn girl refuses, saying she's going to leave the town because everything was fine before Olivia got out of the asylum. Violet hits the road, forcing Olivia to call Alice instead. At first, the little girl doesn't want to go, but her friend says they need to do the right thing. The three girls arrive at the warehouse at night, and when they go inside, they find Milo, the guy who was investigating Olivia. He says the Crooked Man was discovered in the 19th century, and several cultures around the world believed in the entity. That's when people started summoning him to finish off those who used the right words. It was then that a college professor had the brilliant idea of translating the ritual into English. As if that wasn't enough, he turned the words into a melody and put it inside a music box. And of course, Milo eventually discovered the Crooked Man legend and had the genius idea of putting the entity's song on a website, the same one the girls accessed at the start of the movie. When Milo found out that the Crooked Man was real, he rushed to take the site down and tried to warn people not to perform the ritual, but it was too late. The girls ask why the entity only returned now, 6 years after he finished off Jill at the sleepover. Milo theorizes that the fact Olivia left town right after the first victim made the entity stay dormant for the last 6 years, which makes as much sense as Taylor Swift having millions of fans making extremely generic music. The guy is blunt and says that now that the Crooked Man is back, nothing will stop him, not even if Olivia separates from the other girls. I think it would be worth trying since they're running out of options. The survivors could also try to trap him. If they stayed in the same place and turned off the lights, the entity would appear. The girls could have trapped the spirit inside a salt circle, which many cultures believe can imprison evil entities. It wouldn't be a permanent solution, but they could have locked the curse in an abandoned house and cemented the place afterwards, so no one would enter and accidentally release the creature. Another idea to defeat the spirit would be to use the same tactic as in the movie Truth or Dare, another film I've reviewed on the channel. In that story, the protagonist realizes she can't fight the entity alone, so she shares the legend online, creating a viral video. As more people perform the ritual just for fun, they also get cursed by the vengeful spirit, giving the protagonist enough time to live without fear of being chased. So Olivia and the others could have asked the townspeople to sing the Crooked Man song, offering a couple $100. Theoretically, the entity couldn't go after the girls at the same time since it would be busy with the new victims. From there, they could have kept spreading the curse to buy more time. Anyway, Olivia goes to the library the next day and finds out that the college professor who translated the ritual also sang the song, which caused him to encounter the entity, and not in a good way. Noah shows up at the library. He's pretty disturbed and confesses that he sees the Crooked Man every time the lights go out. He admits he went to Jill's house the night of the sleepover because he wanted to scare his younger sister. However, the idiot didn't know his sister hadn't gone there, so he had to hide in the house at the exact time Olivia sang the ritual song. He points to a dark corner of the library and says the Crooked Man is right there, but the creature can't reach him because sunlight is coming through the room. Later, Olivia gets a message from Charlotte saying she doesn't want to live like this anymore. She and Noah rush to her house, but it's too late as Charlotte turns off the lights in her room and gets strangled by the Crooked Man. This situation could have been easily avoided if Olivia had sent a text earlier and revealed that she had a lead on the college professor and the music box, which could have been used to undo the ritual. It was morning when Olivia discovered this, so I think she had enough time to call Charlotte and give her the good news. Maybe that would have made her friend change her mind, but who am I to judge stupid people? Violet also gets into deep trouble. Even though she's leaving town, it's not enough to get rid of the devil. She stays at a roadside hotel, and guess what the woman does? That's right. Violet simply turns off the lamp on the nightstand, the only light source in the room. This makes no sense because Olivia had already warned her to stay protected in the light, so all she had to do was leave the lamp on to survive the night. If she'd just waited one more day, her fate would have been much more favorable, but hold on, I don't want to spoil it. It doesn't take 5 seconds for the Crooked Man to appear, and Violet tries the trick of protecting herself with the bedsheet. She prays the Our Father, but the entity is immune to Christianity, and soon twists her neck, ripping her head off in the most brutal scene of the film. Back in Unknown Town, we see Alice and her mom at home. Suddenly, a storm begins and the power goes out. While Alice's mom goes down to the basement to check the breakers, the girl is attacked by the Crooked Man because, of course, the idiot was holding a candle and burns herself with the high temperature. Instead of using her clothes to hold the candle, no, she drops it on the floor and is left defenseless. Things aren't much better in the basement as Alice's mom trips on the stairs and leans on a gas pipe, which breaks from the weight and causes a leak. Alice smells the gas, but she's really more concerned with saving her own skin than her mom's, since as she gets strangled by the Crooked Man, she turns on the gas on the stove and ends up roasting her mom in the basement. The heat blast scares the Crooked Man away, but Alice is definitely going to need about 17 plastic surgeries to compete in the next regional beauty pageant. Olivia and Noah show up at the hospital where the sheriff orders his son to arrest Olivia. The weirdest part is that Noah tells his dad that the accident involving Olivia wasn't her fault, as she was with him the whole time, but the sheriff doesn't care and says he's the one in charge of the town. Noah then pretends to arrest Olivia and takes her out of town. He then tells her he'll help her find a way to stop the Crooked Man, which makes the girl very eager to kiss him. They drive to the college professor's house, but now his daughter lives there, and she says her dad was obsessed with folklore studies. Just before he passed, the professor wrote a message warning everyone to be careful with the Crooked Man, which makes me wonder, wouldn't it have been smarter to destroy the research on the entity to prevent others from finding out and getting curious enough to go after it? If he hadn't written that warning, it would have been better, but forget it. When they're led into the guy's research room, Olivia spots the music box box with the melody that was put on the website. She plays it and has a vision of where the crooked man lives, or something like that. The problem is, she has no clue where that place is. Olivia says she saw a tree made in PowerPoint and 2 big rocks, and Noah says he knows where it is since he used to camp nearby when he was younger. When they arrive at the location, they don't see the crooked man's house. Well, at least not at first, since it pops up from the ground 5 seconds later. They enter the low-budget CGI house. Olivia sings the song with the help of the music box and summons the crooked man. Noah grabs his gun and unloads on the damn thing, but it only works for a few seconds. Noah suggests that Olivia turn the music box's crank the other way, since theoretically it would trap the crooked man. She does that, but the entity starts strangling the cop. Miraculously, the tactic works, and the crooked man starts to disappear as he's sucked into the music box. Out of nowhere, his house collapses, forcing the love-struck couple to flee. Before the property gets sucked back into the earth, Olivia throws the music box into the black hole, which also disappears. The movie then cuts to Milo, who is now able to permanently delete the website he created. Well, for 10 seconds, because as soon as he walks away from the computer, the site comes back to life, indicating that the crooked man is here to stay. In the final scene, we see 3 girls from the big city entering the site and singing the damn song. I'm almost sure that by now, the budget for the actors had run out, and the production cleverly used the same actresses from the sleepover, filming them from behind so we wouldn't notice. The Crooked Man was snubbed by critics and poorly rated by the public, but I have to admit it's not as bad as most direct-to-TV movies. Are the actors terrible? Yes. Do the special effects look like they came from a broken TV? Yep. Is the Crooked Man's costume pathetic? Absolutely. But the story has rhythm and doesn't stretch out the hour-and-a-half runtime too much, which is a plus in my book. I also got intrigued by the main investigation into the entity, since the Crooked Man legend is pretty interesting. Is it the best demon movie ever? Obviously not, but it's a low-key production you can watch when there's nothing better to do. Because of that, I give the film a 5. Since it was a direct-to-cable movie, it didn't hit theaters. Without further ado, let's go to the kill count. The kill count was 7, as the golden medal goes to Violet. I hope you liked the video, see you on the next one, and bye.